Illinois this morning, and we're doing the Riverwalk. There's a new Riverwalk here at in McHenry that they just made it so you can walk all along the river, and it's really nice. Of course, you can hear the boats on the river. Okay, there's a real big one. And so, what I'm going to be painting is, let me show you what we're going to be painting to this morning. And we're going to be painting this. This is the area. So they made this whole new place, and there's the new shops down there. And if you look right here, I was up here this morning, and I was sketched it all out. And if I wanted to show you this morning of a new instrument I used, and it's by Steve Putridge. He's made this fair viewfinder. So this fair viewfinder is a viewfinder, and you can use it to find your scene, basically. And so here, let me just show you. Here's the viewfinder. It's a viewfinder.com and fairviewfinder.com. And basically, I'm doing a 11 by 14. And so the 11 by 14, I look on here, and you can see right here, this little patch right here. I'm going to open it up. Hold on one second. So right there is the viewfinder. I open up 11 by 14 so that the proportions are correct. And then I just kind of look through, right? I go through there and I kind of manipulate it until I go back and forth and how you want to kind of look at the scene. And nice thing is on this viewfinder also, if you look on top here and all these little spots up here, it shows you some compositions and basically compositions. And I'm going to be using this morning, actually this one right here, where the foreground is going to be really dark. See the foreground being really dark, middle ground being medium, and the sky being light. And so it's pretty much that composition that I'm going to be using. And there's all kinds of different where your eye goes, you know, how your eye moves through the painting. And so all this on the viewfinder. And so again, you go through looking through it, and I just held it up there, and then I figured out what I wanted to paint. You know, I walked back and forth all around and tried to figure out different things with the viewfinder. And so I picked this scene. And so if you can see that, I picked, and when I've been doing my pencil, I'm not sure if you noticed, but with my pencil, what I do is I kind of put in some of the, I shade. I shade with my pencil the darks. And that way I know where my darks are, because I don't do a value study per se. And so this is going to be my value study. When I paint outdoors, if I'm doing something that's a little bit bigger, I may take my sketchbook and figure it out and sketch before. But this one, it's going to be a quick one, and so I just kind of am using this as my sketch. And so let's put this down here and see. I had a different orientation this morning, and I was going to try sideways, but then it told me to do it this way. So you can see what I'm painting, and there's my viewfinder, and there's my palette. And so let's get started here, guys. Let's put this a little bit more in front. And you can see what I'm painting up there, and my palette and everything on this. I guess this way it does kind of work better for the orientation, where you see my palette and my painting, until I get one of those things where I have my palette on the side, and then I'll kind of do the horizontal. But this is going to be fine. And so let's get started with our lights. And so basically our light area is going to be the sky. Remember on the fair viewfinder how it showed me that the background is going to be light. And so what I want to do is just put in a nice light background. The sky right up here. See the sky up there? It's light. And it's not even really blue because there's a little clouds. And so the clouds are going to be a little bit light to darker blue. So I'm going to start out with a lighter blue. Just going to put that right in here. So just go right over it. It's a blue, but it's very, very white. And so I'm using the board also to have some of the light in there. And I can go right over all this subject matter right here. I'm not sure why I'm going around that. And I'm using horizon blue and a gray on gray that Holbein makes. Holbein makes a gray on gray, so that has a little bit of white in it. And I'm doing this on a panel. I'm doing it on watercolor panels. Unfortunately, this may be, because on Thursday, you notice I had a bad batch, and I think this may be one of it too, but we're just going to deal with it. And so I'll just put a little bit more white in here, go right over my trees. And here comes some jet skiers and another boat. So I'll probably have a few of that in there. I'm just hoping that the sun does not come out and ruin my face, and we may have to move everything for a little bit here. So I'm putting a horizon blue up here. And I would do the sky and the lights first, like I always do. And so this gray on gray is kind of a white with a gray in it. And so if you add a little bit of pigment to that, and I'm making the sky bluer than it actually is out here because it's pretty like really misty, maybe, is that the word? And so I'm just going to go and I want to keep it pretty close to what it is. And then the water here, I'm just going to go right into the water. And these little fireballs, these are in McHenry here. They have about 5 or 6 of them. And these little balls, they put fire in, and they light up in the evening. This park is all new. This Riverwalk is all new, and so it's really nice that you can walk all along the river now, all the way to where my old studio used to be. My old studio used to be on Pearl Street, which is down the way over there. And where I still teach at the studio, Lucy's studio. The studio it's called. And so I'm just going to go down here now and put my lights in, and go right through the balls, right through here. The fireballs, I call them. And so we're just going to put them light. It's really, really light, and the sun is right over here, so I'm not getting the sparkle because the sun is over this way. And so, like I said, I'm just hoping within this hour it doesn't, it may go right behind the tree and in front of the tree, so hopefully it doesn't, and so I can get this done without the sun being in my eyes or right on my palette. I am facing the sun, so I would be into the sun, but all right, so that's pretty much let's get this a little bit darker down here, like that up there. Again, it dries about 20% lighter when you even out here, and it dries very quickly because it's just whatever, it's going to be hot out here today. It's been really hot here, and there was a dragonfly you just saw. And I've been looking on here. I'm not sure if I can see the chat. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy. So if you're in chat, I'll look up every once in a while if you have a question. And so I have my gouache on my palette too here. This is my gouache, and this is my watercolor. And so sometimes I may go in for my gouache later on. In the beginning, I just use my watercolor, my transparent watercolor. So there's my water, my light water. There is some what do you call it, lily pads right there, which I'll put in later when that dries. And this is going to be dark in here. This is going to be reflections of the boats, and boy, what a mess of boats I had to draw in here. And I didn't get it exactly perfect, but good enough to where you can tell it's a marina with a bunch of stuff. And so I might as well put these trees back there in right away. And so I'm going to take a little bit of a greenish blue. This morning I got here about an hour early just to kind of figure out where I was going to paint actually first off. I knew I wanted to paint it around this area because the sun would be behind these trees, but picking out a spot is always kind of the toughest. And so you got to kind of go through there and look at the value pattern. Another thing I don't have is I don't have any paper towels, so I may be using my shirt here a little bit. I totally forgot that, and nothing I can do now, though. So there's my background trees. They're a little bit lighter than it is there, and actually it's grayer out there, so I'm going to put a little bit more blue into this and gray it up a little bit. I'm going to try to go a little bit to what it is, and I want to kind of go more to the color that it is, and see if I can't stick with that. I tend to be sometimes too colorful outside, I think, and I think most plein-air painters or watercolor painters who first start out, they kind of use what they use indoors, And we kind of over put colors way too bright. Well, not really, but kind of. I do. I guess I could say I do. I kind of use really way too bright of colors for what it in nature. Everything is really gray if you start noticing. So that's gonna be darker, but those are my lights back there. My light part of the. I'm still putting in my lights, and so this is my light part of my darks. And so this whole building also, I should have just put the stuff, the building itself is a little bit darker than the sky. So I should have put some blue in that right away, the light parts of this. Because this whole section is going to be part of my dark, even though there's a bunch of little lights in there. But it's like I'm sure I spoke wrong. It's my middle tone. It's my middle tones, and so I'll go in and get my middle tones, and after you get my middle tones, then I'll get my darks. And so when you're doing your middle tones, just go right through all this. This building back here is middle tone. The roof was, and it's a little bit different now than when I drew it up, because there was sun hitting this part right here, and so that was a little bit lighter. But I'll get all my middle tones and my colors, and here there's a red boat cover right here. I'm just going to put that in there. I'll put the little colors in first too, the light colors. There are a lot of light colors in there. This little thing right here is orange. You know, so I put all those little colors in there, and those will be the bright light, the speckled lights that are back there. Remember to guard your person. Somebody asked me a question so I can see if this is actually working, the chat. Or just say hi. Let me see if it's working. And let's put a little bit of warmth in here in some spots. There's a lot of blue, and a lot of these covers are blue, so I can put a little bit of the light blue in first. You know, there's a little bit of these covers are blue. And a lot of these poles and everything are all blue too. And so let me just put the light blue in, a medium blue, I should say, not the light. Well, it's also light and medium blues. I'll put them in. The rooftop. And that goes down to this roof. I'll put the fine detail parts in a little bit. And there's a door back here. Goes all the way down to the boat. There's a big cover here. There's a black cover. Then this over here, there's some blue covers. I know it looks like you're doing pieces and it's detailed, but that's all going to be middle tone. But I'm just putting those are my lightest little pieces in the middle tone. So it's good to get those in there, just so you don't have to worry about them later. And I can go over the lights because I can use white paint for gouache for later on if I feel I need to get those big areas. I'm getting like a dirty blue, and so I just take off my palette, just take a dirty blue here and just kind of go in there. So we're going through. I saw another boat came by. So I'm just getting big areas of middle tone right now, trying to get those middle tones in. I'm not seeing any chat. I wonder if that's just me or because I started it differently. All right, back here, we're going to do this little bit of dabbing because there's the boats back here, and put that into the water. That'll be a dark, and back there, I might as well get some of these. So this morning, right now, the water is a lot more ripply. This morning, it was always nice and still. So this right here would be the same as what's above it. I just remembered that because now it's all white going back there, but it looked better when this was like reflecting that the background into the water here. So stuff like that you got to remember. Or when you have a sketch, if you do like a thumbnail sketch, then you follow that. But I remember it, so I'm just going to put it in there. I remembered that it was like a little bit darker. Like this was reflecting into the water down here because the water was still this morning. So I'm just going to put that in there, and I do. When boats came by, there was still a little movement in the water, and that's one thing you do want to put in there is movement of the water. It just makes the water look more like water when you have this little ripples. If it's like a mirror, then you can't tell what's upside down or right side up. And I'm just going to go through here and just kind of get a darker blue. That's a little bit too much here. And then where there's this light, I'm going to put the light of what's on top there also into the water because it's reflecting this sky or this building right here, and so I need to put a little bit more of that in there too. Just going to bring that right down through the boats, right down into the water. And you notice when I do my brush, I always use it horizontally like this. When hey Karen, good morning. Oh, it is working, good. So I'm going to go through here like this and then just go back and forth. My brush is always, when I'm doing water, is always horizontal. I don't ever use it like an angle. I don't go down like this. I always use it horizontally because the water lays level, and so you need to, even if you're going on an angle like this, I still have my brush horizontal. Still make it horizontal, and then over here just going to put it in there. This is the light, and there's still going to be dark reflections on top of that. You see way back here, way back in the distance right there where my brush is. See how now you can see a little bit more of the dark because it's not as rippled because the boats are not going by. But that, and this more, like I said, this morning was very calm, and so you could see that those reflections in there. And so I like that better. And some people ask me all the time, when you're out there plein air painting, do you just paint what you see right at that moment, or do you, I don't do that. I follow what I start with. I a lot of times take a photo just so I know what it is that I saw, and then I just go and paint that subject matter and also that value pattern, because the value pattern you can't switch that much. I mean, you have to go with that value pattern. And right down here is a dark, and so that would be dark in the water. And also these boats are going to be dark, reflect dark. So right underneath the boats, I'm going to go and get the darks. And this river is pretty dirty, and so you're going to get not as bright a color than with an area where it's really nicely. So right down here, I'm going to make it darker because this now is this, right? And so that is a little bit lighter. It's reflecting into the water here. And then I'll be reflecting these blues and stuff in there too. And so you just have to follow what you did here. And then later on, I will also put these little beams that they have there. I'll put those in. But right now, I'm going for the big washes. Now there are some lily pads way back here that you can put in if you want. You can put some lily pads. I'm going to put some little brighter green in there. And so nothing looks too decent until you start getting some of the what you call it, the darks in there. When you get the darks, it starts making things look like what they are. And this is actually should be sky, so I'm going to put a little sky through there. All of a sudden, boats started coming in one by one. They're all coming in now. Let's make this a little bit darker again. And there's actually a lot of, I'm looking at that, it's kind of like, it's really dark. A lot of greenish blue, but kind of grayish too. So go a little bit darker with it. go underneath the piers too here. And I'm gonna put a little purple in this because I think purple would help it a little bit. So once I get the detail of the darks in there, that'll be kind of fun to put the darks in. Here is the trees. They're gonna be dark too. So this is gonna be dark also. So I might as well put that in there right away. And take my round brush, because my round brush I can do more detail with, and so my large round brush I can take. For the background back there, it's kind of a grayish green, but dark. I mean, this is pretty dark back here, and I know I'm not going to go as dark as it is out there, but I want to bring things forward, and that make that look dark. That'll look lighter then. Morning, Darcy and Karen. This is McHenry. We're McHenry, Illinois, and it's the Fox River. Fox River goes all the way down to the Mississippi. And it connects all the chain of lakes. A lot of chain of lakes are connected through the Fox River. And then there's a really, really dark right over here. And then this is going back with the rooftop here. So this tree back here is really, really dark, and so I'm just going to make it a little bit darker. And this back here is a little bit lighter than I have it, but I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Just because I want to keep it out of focus too. I don't need to have that as in focus back there. And so then I kind of liked it better this morning because now it's really, really way too much weight, a little bit more wavy than it was this morning. So I'm going to stick with what I saw this morning. I liked how it looked this morning with this nice amount of small waves. And that's where, while it's good to do a sketch beforehand or take a photo, just so that you have that to remind you of what it was kind of like. And that's that. And there's an engine right here. I'm just going to really properly put some darks there so I know where the darks are going to be at. So that's pretty much my big mediums. And so now I'm going to go in there and start getting these darks in there. I don't see any more medium that I could possibly put in there. So there was a shadow right here in the medium. And this side of the building was medium. And you really can, if you it's not that different, so you can kind of go what you see there. This rooftop though is a little bit darker than the sky because right now the sun is hitting the top of that, so it's lighter. But I remember it was darker. So I'm gonna make it a little bit darker. And then there's a bunch of lights in here, but most of this is going to be dark now. I mean, there's a lot of dark in here, so this is the medium and lights, and so I'm just going to go around and just kind of go in there. And it's an interpretation of what is there. I can't, the sun is right in my eye now. I'm sorry, I got to move you guys a little bit over here. Sorry about this. I thought this was going to happen. Move up a little bit. I thought that was going to happen. Get a little closer. Yeah, the sun is moving up and getting in my eyes, so let me move it right here. Hold on. Sorry about this. Otherwise, it's going to be, I'm going to have to keep on doing this. now we're gonna go in and say that's like a Harley for boats. All right, so now let's get our darks in here. I have a photo of a river and land with dappled light. There's a building mill in the background. Worked on it this morning. I think I have too much detail for the dappled light. Figure out your value pattern. Make sure it's a big value pattern, because this is all going to be my medium darks. This is all going to be my super darks in the foreground. Like on Steve Putch's Fairview Finder, you see that my foreground is going to be totally dark. This is my middle ground, and the lights are already there. So now I'm just going to go in there and get my big darks. My big darks, and that would be all the way through here. And I'm going to go pretty dark with it. I'm going to go with a nice dark blue. It is kind of dark blue in there, and a little bit off it. I get used to, because I was standing there for so long. It's a little bit different angle, but pretty close enough though. Close enough to see. And so this side of this was dark, and then these beams. There's these beams that go across here, and then underneath there's a dark roof right here. And then underneath there was really dark. And I tried to make it dark, but I also try to make it where it's floating pigment. And so that it's not only just that one color. I can do like I do when I'm in my studio. I wet it and I bring it down, and I put other colors in there. I let other colors float into that, like a warmth. Maybe I can put a little bit of orange in here. Make it nice and dark. And it goes down like right through here. It's a nice dark blue. I know it's kind of detailed, but this is my center of interest right there, so you can get a little bit more detailed with that area. I like putting a little bit of orange in the eaves of the darks. There are some inflatables right here, but I'm gonna, let's see, that's where the rooftop goes. Oh, I made it too far forward. I was only supposed to go to here dark. Let's see. I'm gonna need, because inside there it's gray. It's more of a gray. So I use some orange into that blue. It makes it brownish. Go with a blue like this. So I'm just gonna kind of go in here, make this dark. That's that boat. Then there's a dark in there. A little bit more orange. I know it seems very detailed, but it actually is the large area right now, and I go in there later, get all those little things like the poles and stuff. I'll get that later, and I can't really go around the whites because it's too small. But that's what makes it fun. It's a small painting anyways, so I can just kind of you're not gonna be able to see everything. It's just an impression of this area and this marina. I mean, I love painting marinas and I love painting boats, so this is a no-brainer for me. I was like, yep, I want to paint this right here. This side of the boat thing is red. So I'll just keep on going darker and darker, just finding things to bigger areas. Let's start back here and get these done. Let's go back here and start getting all these little things done for the boats. That way I work myself forward, and I'll be done when I get over to this side. There's the what do you call it? The bikini? No, the bikini. I think something like that. For the covering the boat. I forgot what they call that on the boat. I should know. I was a boat rigger all through high school. I was a boat rigger. I would put the engines and the windshields on a boat, and also the tarp, not the tarp, but that area I can't think of right now. So I'm just gonna go back here and just kind of fake these boats, put like the engines, and then reflect it in the water. I mean, if you're in your studio, you would take a little bit more time and maybe make these things a little bit more detailed. Or I could, if I was doing it for like a show or something, I could sit here and wait longer, and I would spend like maybe 3 hours on it instead of 1 hour. That's what I normally did when I was in Evanston. They took about 3 hours each painting. 1 hour for drawing, and then the rest would be like painting and just having a good time. So that's not that dark a sign. And I'm using some gouache now because I want to cover really pretty well, and gouache tends to cover better. But if you, even when you wet it a little bit, it's nice to have it a little bit more covered because it's just more pigment in gouache than there is in watercolor. So little by little it gets there. You just do more and more. You get smaller and smaller with your details because you do your large areas first. Oh no, I gotta move again. Boy, this sun's moving fast. Okay, let's get this done. How much time do I have here? Oh, we're only halfway through. Okay, so let's go in here and get my. Let's get these blue. I get all this blue. There's a lot of blue pillars and stuff. You can see right here my sun right there. It's just about to come. I have to move again. I thought I'd be safe underneath these trees, but it's moving outside the trees. So let's go. There's a telephone pole right here. It goes all the way down, and then there's these beams. And if you drew them up well enough, you can just copy what your drawing is. You don't have to look up because I already know I drew them, and so I'm just gonna put them in. I don't have to look up to see where they're going. That's why you do a really good drawing, so you don't have to look every 5 minutes to see. You look at the value, look at the color, and then start drawing, start painting. I mean, and your drawing hopefully will be good enough that you don't have to think about where you're putting your lines down. Didn't the loud boat just go? How is it going back so fast? It's that boat, like a Harley for a boat. There's a nice dark back here, cover. These wheels are dark, so there's some wheels on this hoist thing. There's a hoist that goes in and out, so we're just gonna make these dark wheels. Wow, that can't be enjoyable, I don't think, when you're on the water and it's that loud. I always think it's nice when there's no noise at all when you're driving. Especially on a lake, which is beautiful. And there's a lot of nice little darks back here. And I'm going to go over my lights. I don't really care about my light areas because I'm just going to put them in with white paint. I'm just going to get my darks, and I can come back in like an oil painter would and just get the dark. And I'm sorry I'm going to have to move again because in a second this will be dark again, or not light again. I'll be in the light, unfortunately. This is the sign that's gas. Bimini. That's what they call it. Oh, thanks. All right, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to move you again. It's just the sun is just about to hit me again. I have to go forward and making sure we don't have to move again. Let's go way over here. This way we won't have to move again because this will stay this will stay out of the sun. All right, so I'm getting all my little dark blues. I'm use my rigger for these little things. I know it's very much detail, but I'm at that point, you know, it's detail. And good thing I have it drawn right because now it's totally different from where I was standing before when I was doing it, but that's okay because we had it drawn, so I can just go by what I had drawn. A little sign right there, little windows. Then we got a bikini top for the boat. Some kayakers coming. Let's do these windows back here. Nice thing is I call this my window brush because look at I can do 3 strokes and I get all my windows done in 1 stroke. I'll put some of the posts into the water. A lot of posts there. A couple of these are open, so this one's open actually, so this goes a little bit farther over this way. Oh, please don't come back again, boat. I hear it coming again. Must have forgot something on the dock. Here's the engine. I'm gonna do the engines here a little bit, get some of the darks going. And these are my really dark darks. This is almost black, and I'm going to use it in this area more than other places. And it's really like this cover of this boat is all black, and so I just put that on there, and it'll kind of show the other boats then what's happening with the other boats. And of course, you put that into the water. In the back. And then the side of this cover is going to be a little bit darker. And though even it is black, I will put other colors in there. Like I'll warm it up a little bit. And this is so small, I really can't make it. I can't make it that detailed. It's very small little things, so I'm going to make it as best I can for what it is, how small it is. Right here's really dark. You know, it's like you're doing small areas, but you're trying to still think that you're trying to still think of it as a big area. You know, like this is all medium and dark, and so you still got to keep that in mind, that it is still the area that's going to be your middle tone and darks. And you're also your center of interest, so you want to make it look interesting. And put the doors and all that stuff in there. And what will really make this look good is the front darks. Those will really make it look good. So So now I'm going to put a little bit more of the, right now there's the lily pads right here, and I'm also going to put them in here, some lily pads. These will be a little bit darker down here because they're in the shade. They were in the shade. And you notice I go right through this big ball, and that's going to be really dark, so just go right through there. And now I'm going to have to put all these really nice darks into the water. So I'm basically taking what's above here now and making it nice and dark. All these little posts. A little bit lighter over here, and as I come over here, I'm going to get really kind of a little bit darker with these things, especially with the posts. And I'm going to use my round brush for that, my smaller round brush. Just kind of go in here. I mean, that's so neat is ripples, right? The ripples are neat in the water, and so get them in there. There's a lot of posts in a marina, a lot of lines and rectangle shapes, and a lot of lights and darks. I'm mixing a green. A lot of this is green because this water is kind of murky, and so it's showing the color of the water plus what's above it, the trees and stuff. I notice I haven't used much purple, have I? I'm gonna do a little bit more purple in this darks. Okay, let's use the blue for the posts, because they do look blue in the reflection too. And all this stuff over here, all this little nice little blue will be right here opposite. Hey Marcia, hey Darcy. So this light post here too, you gotta put that in there. This is the part I love. This is what makes it look good.
Mind if I take a look?
Sure, sure.
That's great.
Thanks.
How long has that taken you? Is that just today?
Just today.
Oh wow.
I do in 1 hour on live. I'm live on YouTube, and so I just do it for 1 hour.
Fantastic job. Sorry about it.
No, that's okay. No, it's okay. Not a problem. So this is really dark right there. I look above. I constantly look above and try to figure out what's above it, and then just go and put it in from what's above. There's some warm, right? And so I'm just going to put that in there. Doesn't have to be exact, just enough to make it look like it's reflecting that stuff up above. These windows, you can put them in. A little reflection. I'm not going to make them in nicely. I'm just going to try to just little dabs. All this stuff back here, I'm faking everything back there because I have no idea. I'm not looking at the boats. I'm not looking what's there actually even. I just need to have my lights and darks. And you notice I made this all dark here because I may be coming back in with some white paint to get some of the little reflections, because right now there's a lot of light on this. But I'm just going to not paint around it. I'm just going to get my big washes, and then I'll come back in with my small lights. And I'll just use my opaque colors. Let's get this a little bit more darker. So that's not a watercolor technique either. If coming back with a white, that's more like oil painting and acrylic. But I actually like the look of that. That look is, to me, I think is pretty neat. So you get a little bit of watercolor look, then I also get a little bit of the opaque look to it. let me get my darks now, and then I'll go back in to get my fine details. So these are my big darks, right? This is going to be really dark greens. So let me go in there, get a really dark green, and I'm just going to put some of the greens in up here for the leaves. Basically, they're hanging over me now, and use my smaller brush for like some of the leaves. Put a little bit of the branch. And these are what's in front. And I made it up a little bit because they were not quite in my scene when I used the viewfinder. But I put them in there just because that's my dark, like Steve's viewfinder does. It has a little printout of what a good scene is, a good composition. So here I'm just getting these darks, and some people like to put the branch in first and then put the thing. You can do that too. I kind of just put in the big areas. I try to put in the big area of dark, and then I go smaller and smaller. I get a little bit smaller, and I make it light to dark. I don't really change the color of the branch that much. I just make it darker. A lot of times I just go in there with a dark. And just the way you tap your brush, sometimes you can make leaves by just the way you kind of tap the brush down. Look where the point is and how you're gonna. Oh, hey squirrelies, don't be fighting around here. Guy almost hit my leg. Got some squirrels running around chasing each other. They stopped right as soon as they saw me. Right, guys? I know that many of you don't like painting outside because of all the things like the sounds and the boats and you know, there's no mosquitoes. It's a little bit of a breeze right now, so that's nice. But when it is nice and everything's calm, like in the morning, early morning, and there's nobody here, it was just really nice. It's nice to be out here, and then you just paint. Something to do, and you don't have to even do it like in a painting wise. Just take your sketchbook with a small little thing of watercolor, you know, just enough really. You don't need to have this whole big setup like I do. So that's my darks, that's part of my darks, and now I'm going to bring it down here. Down here I'm putting the rock. So this is the lightest part of the rock. They are all dark, darker than that, but there are still light parts to the rock and dark parts to the rock. Usually the top is the lightest, but still dark. I mean, it's still going to be a dark color because it has to be darker than the background. And so I'm going to put in my darks on the top, lighter darks, and then my darker darks on the side. This whole thing is this thing now is in the sun. You can see right there, it's in the sun at the moment, where you can see it. Oh, it's behind the painting. But that one right over there, see that little round thing right there? That's what is going to be right here. And so I can put in my middle tone first. And then I'll wait for my darks, my hard edge darks. When I put the rocks in there, I'll put them hard. Now this one is broken up a lot, so we're just going to break that one up a little bit. The round ball out there, the fireball I call them. I make that one not quite as colorful. I want that one to push back a little bit. And it's going to be right by the frame anyways, so it cuts off a little bit of the frame. So I'm just going to put this right down here, the post that's on in the water. This one here is a little bit different. This one's a little bit bigger, and I will put some color in there. And now it's in the sun, but I will not put it in the sun because I'm going to do what I had done this morning, what it was like this morning. so I'm just going to wet it. And these things are kind of rust color. So I'll put some rust color in there. And you can see through some parts of it, and some parts you can't see through. And so I put in the light to dark, like always, light to dark on everything. I'm using a little bit of gouache. Not sure why. It doesn't really matter, really. And so let me think, there's a little part right in here that will be darker than everything else that you can see through. And then again, when you're here by yourself and just painting and not having to do like a video like I'm doing for an hour, you have time and just spend time on it and don't rush it. I'm kind of rushing a little bit. So now I get some really nice darks for the inside. And I do have to wait till it dries for some of it. So this part is a dark part. Put a little orange in the back side here. All right, how much time do we have? Oh, only about 7 minutes. Okay, let's go a little bit faster then. We're getting pretty close. All right, so now I'm going to get my lights, my small detail lights. And so what are those? Those are the ones that I went over. And so I'm just going to take pure white or like this light gray on gray. And I'm just going to hit it because the sun's hitting a lot of this in the top. And so you just hit the tops of things. And I'm going to make it pretty thick and not so watery, so it'll stick right on top. So the top of the top of the piers and top of the stuff here, it's all being lit up now with the white. And so, which it was kind of this morning too. It's like dappled light. But now in the water though, it's a lot lighter than it was this morning. So that I don't want to change too much of because that's different. So separate, make sure what's inside there, you don't put any lights, just what's on the outside. And there's a lot of posts here that are light, and so I'm just going to put these posts in like this. There's like a ladder right here. Now while you're doing that, you also put it into the water. You take it right away and you put a little bit of that into the water area.
Dude,
All right,
looking good.
thanks.
Mind if we take a picture?
No problem.
Go on. I want to picture you painting.
No problem.
Yeah, that's fine. So, so.
So these are all my details, guys. Hey Gigi.
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
Wow. I love it.
Thanks.
The details real good. Where do you sell that stuff at?
What's that?
Do you sell that stuff?
Yeah, online.
Okay.
Usually on my
What's your name?
David Becker.
David Becker?
Yeah.
I'm Frank. I'm glad you.
Hey Frank.
That's really nice. Good
Thank
job.
you. It's fun getting comments from the public as it walks by. It's always good. All right, so the final, let's see, I got 4 minutes. The final was at the light there, but now let's get these really dark parts on the rocks. And we should be pretty much done then. So this is the dark area, and so you just get the side of the rocks, leave the top of the rocks alone. Same thing with this. I'm gonna go in there now and get the little super darks part of this. So I'm using almost a black, ivory black on this, and like inside, and make it a little bit darker of the gouache. Take a little bit of gouache and put that in here, a little bit darker. I still like floating, no matter what I'm doing, gouache or the watercolor. I still want to make it look wet in the wet. I want to kind of make it look wet in the wet.
Excuse me, do you by chance own any vehicles right along here on the
Yeah.
park here? Can I ask you to please room? We have food trucks that are coming in here too.
Oh sure.
Yes,
Let me.
actually, we are here.
Okay. I'll move right away. I'm live right now.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll be out in a second. So I'll be done. I guess I got food trucks coming in the parking lot here, and so we got to move my car. So I will do that in a second.
Yeah, I'm moving. I'm just covering my boat now.
All right, and then the final will be some of these lily pads in the front. So some of these lily pads were dark, and so I want to make some of them dark in the dark area.
What? You want me to carry you? Walk on my shoulders again?
And get some light ones too. And if you want, you can also put flower ones in, little lilies in there too, if you want, which I could probably do with gouache. And let's put some light ones with white paint and white up here, because there were some now. They're kind of bright up here, and so there are little lily pads sitting up here. All right, I think we're pretty much done, guys. I gotta move my car anyways because the food trucks came. I was here first. Hey, wait a second. One more thing. Let's get this a little bit nicer in here. Get a nice little dark in there. This is in front, and this is in the front of it, in the front here. So it's nice to have this dark. All right, I think that's it, guys. Let me just show you what it looks like, and we'll be all done. 1 hour for anybody's watching. I usually do 1 hour videos, and so here it is, straight on. So there it is, and I could probably still go in there. If I went back home, I could even go in and make a little bit more detail in here. I took a photograph of it, and sometimes you can go back into your, get those final little touches, and like some really darks in here, where it's underneath, because this is my center of interest, so I can get a little bit more dark contrast in there. But that's pretty much it. That's the scene. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you on Thursday. All right, I do a Thursday paint along every Thursday at 6:30 Central Standard Time. See you then. Bye, guys.